Oh, and we are live. The Chaps Chat Cats, part of the Hoops Crew Media Network, returning to you in 2026. My name is Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio by two chaps who I'm hoping are extremely refreshed, extremely reinvigorated, extremely aroused. Sambo, Johnny, how are we?
Good.
Neither of any of those things he said.
I'm slightly aroused, but apart from that, no.
Perfect. It's exactly that. That's all we need. That is all I was looking for from you. It's been weird, chaps. It's the first time, and yeah, let us know in the oldie comments if you can hear us, if you're watching, yada yada yada. We want to hear from you in the chat. Ben of the Hoops Show says season is loading. It's basically here. Chaps, it's the first time since we started our podcast that we have taken any sort of break, any sort of time off. January, we opened it up, a factual opinion, and we know it's true that he can hear us or she can hear us because it's a factual opinion.
Yeah.
Therefore, it must be true. January, we took it off. We spent that time hopefully refilling the footy well inside of us. So, yeah, how was your January? Before we crack into news and gleaning stuff from the preseason fluff, how was your January, chaps? What did you get up to? And I know we've all been at work. Each of us work in hospitality / entertainment, but I'm gonna put a kibosh on work chat. So apart from work,
right,
which we'll just assume was busy and shithouse, what have you been up to?
nothing.
That's safe for the pod.
That's literally my January. Nothing apart from work. I've done nothing this January apart work.
Really?
Yeah, basically.
All right, Sambo, over to you.
Nothing. No. I mean, it's nothing terribly exciting, to be honest.
Great start to the pod.
I've listened to some audiobooks. I've watched a lot of anime. To be fair, John, you've been keeping up with me with a lot of the anime, so we've been doing that, and I've watched a lot of tennis. But that's about it. Honestly, it's been work, kids. I know we weren't meant to mention work, but it's been work, kids, and then audiobooks and anime, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much it. A bit of tennis, bit of cricket.
Yes, tennis. Sorry, yeah.
That's literally it.
All right. Well, yeah, I've also been working. I'll put that out there. But yeah, no, I went down to Cadell Evans Great Ocean Road Race on the weekend. That was awesome. Had a great time in Geelong. Second year going down to that. Trying to stay cool. It's been bloody hot. Trying to stay not on fire because that has been difficult at different times, obviously, this summer, particularly if you're living in a rural area. So, yeah, I've enjoyed taking the month off, chaps. I think it was a good idea. We would have only been making up bullshit to talk about anyway. Actually, our man Paul has done a great job doing player profiles, those videos have been excellent. And between he and Ben, there's been a few summer series videos. So the chaps, we thought, no, surplus to requirements. We carried things through December. We're going to duck out January. And now the season is on our doorstep, chaps. Chuck us in the comments. What have you been up to this January? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? Been watching, listening, following any other sports? Let us know your thoughts. So yeah, on tonight's episode, we're doing gleaning stuff from preseason fluff, which will basically be, we'll go through some news items, but chaps, there's also been a few quotes I've highlighted from different Cats articles and interviews that I'm like, let's try and read between the lines here. Let's try and glean some stuff from the preseason fluff, because preseason, chaps, everyone is in their best shape. Everyone's going to have a breakout year. There's very seldom any negative or realistic feedback that comes out in preseason. So we're going to try and pass the language and get to the bottom of some of the stuff that might be going on. Let's start by reading the news. We're going to start with State of Origin. Chaps, the AFL men playing their State of Origin clash. And the Cats are pretty heavily featured in State of Origin. Obviously, Chris Scott is taking the coaching reins as Victoria's coach. Lawson Humphreys will line up across from his teammates for WA. Jeremy Cameron pulls on the big V. He's captain too, isn't he? Jeremy Cameron, Patrick Dangerfield, Max Holmes, Tom Stewart. Those are some names in the mix. It's next Saturday, February the 14th, 7:40 p.m. our time at Optus Stadium. Chaps, how are we feeling about getting to watch a game of footy next week? State of Origin and these Cats going around in it.
Excited. I'm looking forward to the State of Origin. I know a lot of people are going, it's just going to be a game where they just, do some touch football and all this. But I'm hoping it's not. I hope that they actually play a proper game of football. We get to see the new rules in action, get a sense of what they're like, and the players have a good time. I feel like the players are hoping to have a good match and actually play a really competitive game of football. And if injuries happen, they happen. It could happen in training as it already has to some players. So what's the difference? It's a bit of fun. It's going to be interesting, and I like the idea of State of Origin. I think it would be just a little bit of extra entertainment and tide us over from October until the start of the season next month. So it feels good. Feels good to have it back.
Yeah, it's come around quick. It's come around quick in some ways. In some ways, it's felt like a big no man's land in between, but at the same time, it didn't feel like we're there yet. So, like you say, it probably lands in a good time as far as sort of just filling in that gap there. So I'm excited. I have no real bias or investment really, apart from the fact that obviously there's some Cats playing and Chris Scott's coaching. Like, I'm not going to be watching it from any real Victoria bias. Personally, I'm just looking forward to hopefully seeing some good football.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've got a call here from Mark EW5JM. Believe that's I don't know, maybe like Eritrean surname there. I don't know what part of the world you hail from there, Mark EW5JM. But says the Bont for Vic captain. Okay, so am I confused? Oh, he was all Australian captain, wasn't he, Jeremy Cameron? I think that's where I upset my own apple cart. Yeah. Yes. So no, my only thought with this, Chaps, and it's a bit nefarious, it's a bit Machiavellian, is that Chris Scott as head coach, if I had this opportunity, I might just run the absolute ever-living shit out of my rivals' best midfielders. Just send my forwards crashing into big packs. Like, why not? Why not lean in and just say, you know what? Let's send all the best mids from my Victorian rivals from Collingwood, etc. Every contest, the Cats will just get sprinkled in lightly, maybe in a bit of forward pocket action. Just see if we can't, cause a few injuries.
The funny thing is, you say that, they did have an article on the AFL website about that exact thing for the midfield. Is like, who does Victoria start off with in the midfield, since it's such jam-packed of great players? And they had to, their first three, second three, and third three. And I think the Cats were in the third group. I was send all the other players in first and then send the Cats in later on. I was like, that'll work for me.
Well, if you think about it, there's justification, because if you look at who's in there, Jeremy Cameron, well, he can't play midfield. He's going to be full forward. Patrick Dangerfield, he played up forward most of the season. Tom Stewart, I know he's a renowned midfielder, but let's chuck him down back. Max Holmes, maybe just a bit of time off the bench. So there's really no need or justification for the Cats to roll anyone.
Especially when you got the likes
Jackie
of
offers
and Nick Dacos and
exactly.
Matt Rowell, Christopher Trucker. I think he's in the
You got to.
You don't need the small fish when you got those big fish to lead the way.
Give the fans what they want. No one wants to see Max Holmes, tear around with 10 clearances. Let's chuck all the other teams' players in. See them do the business. Jackie makes the good point. If I'm Scotty, I'd suss out who we are stealing in the future. That's absolutely happening. Flash says, is Harry Sheasel playing? You definitely have a better chance of knowing that than I do, Flash, because this is the first time all summer that I've talked about State of Origin on a podcast. And all I know is Lawson Humphries is playing. So is Patrick Dangerfield, Holmes, and Stewart. And apparently Bontempelli is the captain. If you come here for rampant professionalism, I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, that is State of Origin. It'll be Saturday, the 14th of February at 7:40 p.m.
Perfect day for Valentine's Day to spend with your loved one watching football.
Better put the brownie points in the bank early on Saturday. Maybe Friday night. Friday night's the way to go. Get a jump on it, Like, hey, we're going out to dinner Friday night. There's no foot. That's when you might pull the.
No footy.
You know what? I don't want to watch the footy tonight. Let's don't even say there's no footy on. You just say I'm not going to watch the footy tonight. We're going to go out for dinner. I really value, we're going to hit up a nice restaurant. No one needs to know that there is no game that's actually being missed, of course. And then Saturday, we roll in. All right. Oh, Ben says Cats star in doubt for the Origin. What, late hamstring awareness or something like that?
I think there's going to be about
let's jump into the next topic.
Players. They'll just have some awareness put around them. Better put in cotton wool.
Awareness of an organic biological body prone to bumps and bruises. We're going to flick here over, Chaps, to the W code because there was a story that came out. The AFLW Cats finalised their coaching group for 2026. Obviously, there was the big steal of Mick Stanier from Melbourne, who's barely lost a game in his time as the D's coach across 10 years. He is the man for the big chair at the Cats, but they've added Ryan Pendlebury. He's a two-time AFLW Premiership assistant coach with North Melbourne. We've also added Sam Simpson, Silk, and Elise Coventry, set to continue in her role. Simpson. So, Chaps, what do we think about this coaching group? Are you going into the AFLW season? It's a way off. Extremely, more optimistic maybe than where you were ending off a couple of months ago when the season came to an end?
It's hard to say just yet, obviously. It's such a long way out, but I feel like like when we last left off, we're all pretty what's going on with the Cats, what's going on with the coaching, what's going on with the player movement. So I think from that point of damn in the dumps of not knowing what's happening to these announcements, it's definitely a lot more optimistic and a lot more feels there's good change in the air for the AFLW side. But Mick Stanier, he's got an excellent record. Pendlebury comes across from obviously North Melbourne, to basically undefeated seasons, which is incredible. And then a couple of Cats people through and through. So I feel like it's a really good mix of highly skilled coaches and players as well. I feel like these guys will be able to really help shape this AFLW side into the team that we all know that they can be. And we all know the talent's there, we all know the skills there. It's just about trying to find that good balance of getting to work as a group. And I think with Pendlebury and Stanier there, I think those two will definitely get to work that out. And then, Sam Simpson is a great team player, and Coventry, she's just been doing what she does extremely well, been a really good assistant coach and connecting everyone together. So I am getting a bit more excited, but I'm not getting overexcited just yet. I think once the preseason starts for AFLW and we start seeing some movement, some idea of how team plays, that's when it'll be a bit more exciting. I think even at VFLW.
Oh, sorry.
So VFLW, I think we'll probably even see some bleed into that. I hopefully of seeing some AFLW players trying out a few things.
Yeah, I think obviously the Stania one was the first sort of thing to put our minds at ease a little bit, but I've felt pretty good even since just the draft. Not that like it's any great, proof of concept really to see a couple of players go to your club. Like it's there's no real factual hard evidence of what that's going to mean, but just from a like a subjective point of view, I think that did really kind of, I don't know, just maybe calm my farm a little bit. Like it just reminded me that, the club's doing things, they're professionals, they're moving on. Like, we probably panicked a little bit in that period where there was no real communication on what was going on with players and the coaching and all that kind of stuff. So it was probably a little bit fruitless. But yeah, I think since that draft night, sitting down and seeing the new faces join and all that, and then obviously through now to the coaching announcements and whatnot. I'm trying not to get my hopes too far up because, as we said, this could be a bit of a transitional phase with the coaching change and all that kind of stuff. In the long run, I think it's only going to be positive, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and think we're going to be, the team to beat this year straight away. But that being said, I'm feeling pretty positive and excited to see it get rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out pretty bullish here. And we've got some questions about Geelong's intra-club match, which we'll get to shortly. Nav Sand HU655 rolls off the tongue. Shortly, so definitely address that. But on this topic, I'm bullish, chaps. This is a grand final appearing team within the next 5 years. I think next 5 years, Geelong's AFLW team will play in a grand final. And if you can't do it with Mick Stanier, I don't know who the F you can do it with. I like the coaching group. I like the continuity in the sense of Elise Coventry being there. She was previously the VFLW coach at the Cats. She stepped down from that role to focus on her role with the AFLW side. You've got Taylor Hassett, I believe, is the coach for the VFLW at the minute. And Pendlebury and Stanier bring proven credentials at the AFLW level. That's what I'm putting down. Clip it, bookmark it. The Cats, I'm not saying they're going to win the flag because, winning it is hard to do, but I think next 5 years, the AFLW will play in a grand final under Mick Stanier. I have all the confidence in the world, and adding Pendlebury from North only makes me more confident. So I'm very, very excited about this one. Quick bookmark it. Someone clip it so I can look like a moron in 5 years' time when Geelong have won 5 wooden spoons and Stanier didn't last 2 years. The first VFL game, this impact.
I was just going to say, at least you're not doing a Ben.
What, saying we're going to slide? We're mid-table mediocre.
Middling team. Yeah.
God,
we love you, Ben.
It's a good thing he's not here and watching us.
Yeah. How long will we drag Ben over the coals for this? It's only been
forever.
It's only been 12 months.
Yeah, it's not like any of us have ever made poor predictions. I did tell everyone to trade on Jake Colajasny before what was maybe his career best 2024 season. So this news item affects roughly me and 13 other people who don't play for the Geelong VFL men's side. But I'm excited because the fixture has been released for round 1 of the VFL season, and the Cats are going to get to play a night game in round 1 at Cardinia Park. They're going to play Essendon. It will be the second match of the opening day of the VFL season, 7:05 p.m. on Friday, March the 20th. I can't wait for this, chaps. We don't need to make lots of notes about this. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because it's also a good way to say, if you're new here and you want VFL coverage, go on over and sign up to the Hoops Crew Patreon, where I do weekly VFL shows, keeping you up to date with how our new players and our fringe veterans are getting on in their quest to become AFL footballers. It also says, in a landmark occasion, Tasmania Football Club will play its first. Don't care. Don't give a shit about Tasmania Football Club. So we're moving on. All right, we're getting into the 2026 Amy Community Series, and this is where we can answer your question. Nav Sand, who? Nav Sandu. There you go. Makes sense now. 2026 Amy Community Series ticketing information plus a full off-season schedule or pre-season schedule here for you. So I don't know the games listed here for the Cats are obviously the 4 or 5 Geelong players who will feature in State of Origin on Saturday, Feb 14th. But then Monday, February 16th, Hawthorn v Geelong. We can react to this match, chaps, potentially. 1:45 p.m. this game. The Hawks v the Cats at the Kennedy Community Centre. There'll be 4 30-minute quarters, no time on. I think these games were on KO last year from my memory. So I'm assuming that will be there. And then Geelong's Community Series game will be on Wednesday, the 25th of February. They are playing Carlton at Icon Park at 7:10 p.m. Club members, AFL members, and kids aged 14 and under will have free general admission access to the 2026 Amy Community Series for another year. Thanks to the partnership with Amy. Oh, thanks for working that ad read into your article. Wonderful. So yes, Cats will play the Hawks, as become a bit of a fixture in their match sim. That's on Monday 16th, and then Wednesday 25th they will play Carlton, which is their official community series game. Chaps, what are you hoping? Just a little quick forecast. What are you hoping to see? In an ideal world, like I think it was the 2023 preseason, maybe, or 2024 preseason. Ollie Dempsey took an absolute hanger in the square. There were little moments from him that hinted that he was going to have a great season. Paint us a picture. We'll start with you, Sambo. What in a fantasy land, a Fantasia, would you like to see come out of our 2026 preseason games?
Well, this is based on the rather large assumption that I have fantasies about any preseason situation, which is, I'll be honest, probably the biggest theoretical is just theoretically imagining giving a shit. I'm going to go with, you know what, I'd probably like to see, I don't know, it's not specific enough probably, so if I need to be more specific, I'll go after John. But my overall feeling is I want to see the Cats having fun. And this is a bit of a redo of a point I made like back before we took our break. I would really like to see like a bit of that Ollie Dempsey attitude emanating out into the rest of the club. Not taking it, like, especially at this point in the season with this kind of scenario. I'd like to see us playing well, demonstrating obviously, you know, elite footballing, but just like not taking it ourselves too seriously. There was all just that sort of real pent up aggression last year that I feel like in the long run hurt us. I think we let it out a little too early last year. Couldn't quite keep it bottled up until after the granny. And I do think overall we just kind of backed ourselves into a corner, into an us against them kind of corner. And I'd like to see the club and the players having fun. Like I said, I don't know if that's just too general for this, but this seems like the perfect opportunity. I don't know if it's going to happen in like an actual in-season game, But if we can at least start demonstrating that we're having fun with football and we're out there, for the sake of football, not because we've got a point to prove and a chip on our shoulder, I'd probably like that. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I like what Flash has said here about, I think Ben is onto it. So Ben must have talked about this, that we need to see a promising young ruckman doing promising young ruckman things. Mark EW5JM says, would like to see Mitch Edwards play each game, even part games, and get through unscathed. We'll actually talk about Mitch Edwards shortly when we look to glean stuff from pre-season fluff. Johnny, what about you? What's something you might like to see out of the preseason games?
It's tough because I don't want to see us putting our obviously best foot forward. I just want to, similar to Sam, just like to see them go out there, have a bit of fun, enjoy having a bit of a kick around. Try not to take it too seriously, because I don't think teams should be taking these games super seriously. Like we're not out there to smash the other team. We're not out there to beat them into pulp or prove anything, because there's no point proving something in these community games, because what's the point? There is no point. I just want to see him, as Sam said, go have a bit of fun, have a kick, lay a few tackles, sort of get that feel for football again, but don't do anything silly or stupid. I don't think we need to do what the Bombers did last year against us and go out there and play a best game of the year when it doesn't matter. I just like to go out, have a kick, enjoy themselves, enjoy the slight competition against the Hawks, because I think those two teams will most likely be doing the same thing as the Cats, just testing a few things out, but not taking it too seriously. Because, otherwise you do an Essendon and get your fans' hopes up and do what you do every year and fall in a heap.
Yeah, like the result the result is utterly meaningless out of both of these games. We've seen Geelong win preseason games and then go on to have average seasons. We've seen them lose preseason games and go on to have great seasons. So the result doesn't matter. But performance-wise, I would like to see, it's always great to see the side come out. I think it was ahead of 2022. We went, holy crap, these guys look like they're carved out of stone. They looked like they'd had a good off season. And there was something exciting about the way they attacked the game, with the way they moved the ball, that was a contrast to previous years. And this is going back to the 2022 preseason, before we went on to win that flag. I felt there were signs of change even then. I'll keep it to an individual note. As I said, we'll talk about Mitch Edwards and the ruck stuff shortly. There's a few people who have said, I want to see, the young rucks play. So we will talk about Mitch Edwards and that group of people. Someone else there was Flash, who said, I'd like to see George of the Jungle Stevens show an extra yard of speed, maybe. I like that. I would like to see, I want to see Jai Clark carry what he did in 2025 through into 2026. Jai Clark is a figure of much derision for a lot of Cats fans. As someone who's watched every game he's played, AFL and VFL, the improvement he showed from when he was drafted to last year was massive. And in the space of 12 months, I went into 2025 and I was sort of grading Jai Clark as being like, man, he's probably fortunate he's got that 2026 year already locked up in his contract, or he might find himself on the bubble if 2025 goes the wrong way. 2025 went the absolute right way. This is a guy who is averaging like 27 plus touches in the VFL. And while the numbers didn't translate to AFL level once he got to go up, the actual improvement that he'd made in his game did. We saw a version of Jai Clark that was more athletic. He was a bit of a better decision maker. He's always been hard as nails. Like he's not a big bloke, but he's hard as a cat's head. And he unlocked some speed for himself in the VFL. They were playing him early in games off half back. I think that changed how we saw the game. He started at half back. He could read an intercept. He could see the game unfold. Then they started pushing him on ball. and he just made better decisions as opposed to games where they just started him on ball. And I honestly think they may be looking at him as a player who can play a little bit more in space, who can potentially fill a role as a bit of a line breaker, because it was a type of speed we hadn't seen from him. So I would love for Jai Clark to take that, what he did last year, and show us a flash of it in these first games in 2026, because I think if he can carry that on, this is a guy who finished the year playing in the grand final side. So Big Stick Combat says, I want to see Bruin back in the mix. Yep, I believe we can agree there. 2 words from Jackie is Joe Pike. Joe Pike, Jackie. He looks lean. He looks mean. He looks carved, which is very exciting, I think, for someone who's been a very raw ruck prospect at VFL level. Ben, a bit of live production here. Sambo is saying, can we have a weekly segment featuring one of Sambo's collectibles? I actually think this is a fantastic idea. Sam's Collectibles Corner.
it'll fill in a lot of weeks.
It's a lot of collectibles to go through. Flash asked, does Danger need to play much? No, definitely not. How about Collar? I'm not sure how we manage the elderly. Take them for a walk around the lake, feed the ducks.
There's the newest one, Ben.
Or talk us through it, Sam. Sam's showing us a figure here that has a massive amount of masculine cleavage exposed.
Yes. Whoops. There he goes. Lucky it's soft down the bottom there.
On the
just a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Picked it up secondhand for cheap. As you said, Jake, a lot of man boob on that one. A lot of the price just goes into the sculpt of the man boob.
Sexual proclivities.
He's now on the bottom shelf. He's been demoted to the bottom shelf immediately.
This is why Sam's is slightly aroused.
Flash says, I think Jai Clark should mirror himself on Tommy Atkins. Don't need him to do much more than what Tommy does well tackling. I agree to an extent, Flash, but he showed me something last year that was a bit different to what Tom Atkins can do. I don't think he needs to be a like-for-like Tom Atkins. Like, I know where you're coming from, and I think there are really obvious connections to make, and I think there's some fairly obvious ways, and it looks like Jai Clark has modeled his game after Tom Atkins. But I think Jai Clark has a string to his bow that Tom Atkins doesn't, and that is he's really pacey. Like, I know this might be a reality that we've got to take a few months to adapt to, but Jai Clark has a little bit of speed that maybe we didn't expect him to come in with. So, he's got a long way to go to catch Tom Atkins, because Tom Atkins has such a well-rounded skill set now. Like we talked about at the end of the season, like everyone was talking about Tom Atkins' tackling record, but also overlooking like the fact that he was like leading the team for average clearances, the fact that he was like top 2 or 3 for like goal assists and score involvements. Like, Tom Atkins is a very, very well-rounded player. So totally take your point that he should look at Tom Atkins' game and take those parts away that he can, but then build on being Jai Clark too, because I think Jai Clark does have something to offer, and he's just been a slow burn. The other one I would offer is Mitch Nevitt. I would love to see a glimpse from Mitch Nevitt, because we've been defenders of Mitch Nevitt on the podcast, saying we think it's a matter of becoming physically mature, much the same way that Zach Guthrie did. It took Zach Guthrie a long time to find the confidence in his body. Once he did, he's become a great player. I think that'd be my other one from the preseason. Let's get some glimpses of Mitch Nevitt. Looking strong, looking confident. Shadu says, hello, folks, popping in temporarily. G'day, Shadu. With that, let's move on from the news, chaps, and let's move on to gleaning stuff. Oh,
okay.
That banner didn't work properly. Let's move on to gleaning stuff from pre-season.
Come on, Colin.
Fluff. As I said, there is a lot of fluff. There's a lot. Colin's getting the sack, by the way. This is, I think, Colin's last week in the job. We are moving on. We have a very capable in-house person who's going to take over the role. So yeah, Colin, we thank you, but we don't thank you. It's been a nightmare 5 years, 6 years, and we'll be glad to see the back of you. So gleaning stuff from preseason fluff, chaps. This is about reading between the lines. This is looking for clues amongst the sort of coach speak and player speak that we get. I'm going to throw you a juicy one to start off here, chaps. And this is from a Tom Atkins interview in which Atkins revealed that early January was the first time Geelong had reviewed the grand final. Now, that doesn't bother me whether they'd watched it or not, but this quote stuck out to me, chaps. We're trying to take some learnings, but you just look ahead at our team. It's going to be so different. The way we're going to try to play is going to be different. So for me, chaps, the team being different, that's an obvious one. The teams always look different from year to year in terms of player personnel. That's certainly true this year with the addition of the draftees and Warple, etc. But Atkins saying the way we're going to try to play is going to be different, that stood out to me. It wasn't how we try to execute the game plan better. It wasn't there's some things we can clean up. The way we're going to try to play is going to be different. So this is preseason. This is reckless speculation. What does this mean to you? I want a thought from each of you as to what could this look like? What does it mean? Maybe what you look at needing to change from Geelong's, game plan last year or how they play. Yeah, how do you think I'm overreacting to this quote, or have I gleaned something here?
I think when you get to a grand final, you've got a pretty good side. But when you get beaten in a grand final by what I think we played really well was our strength, and you get outplayed on your strength with our opposition. I like the idea that they've gone, we need to change. We can't just go into 2026 with the same game plan, because what's that going to get us? It may get us to another grand final, but also might end in the exact same result. So I'm really liking this. I'm liking that Chris Scott and the coaching panel with Nathan Buckley, obviously some fresh eyes to really get an idea on what can be changed. And I think when you do have someone who comes in new, it'll be easy for the new person to go, hey, what if we do this? What if we try that? Because they're not having been there for so long and get attached to a certain style of play. So yeah, I really like that quote. I really like that idea of that Tom Atkins put out there, that the team is going to be different, obviously, but the way they play also will be different. Yeah, it gives me really good, fun feelings in Tum Tum, because it's like, yes, this team isn't just going to on the laurels and expect to play the same and expect the same thing to happen. They're actually being very proactive, which you don't really hear the Cats talk that way of changing stuff so openly. It's always like, oh yeah, we'll try new things. But Tom Atkins coming out straight away saying it's going to be different gets me really excited and makes me even more keen for the season to start to see what this new idea is, what this new team really looks like.
Sambo, there's a few offerings here from the chat. Flash said Brisbane had more variations to what we were able to execute. A tired Paddy, we weren't able to control stoppage, so a fresh approach needed. Shadu says, I think we needed to change something up to do something about the forward line. It wasn't really working. What did you take from this quote? Is it an overreaction? Do you read something into it? What do you, because the last time we heard Geelong talk about changing game plan or the way we want to play was ahead of 2022.
Yeah, but I would say they have changed their game plan even since then, though. John already does that segment, Ben. It's on the OnlyFans.
Absolutely.
I would say we have changed our game plan even since 2022. Like, I think, I don't know what they would mean. Like, I think in large sections, our game plan was great last year. So maybe it's just that case of having the different buttons to push, different gears to change into that maybe we had. I think that was maybe a hallmark of 2022 was, it wasn't our way or the highway. It always seemed like when a team brought something to us, we could adjust and move to gear 2, 3, or 4 or whatever to sort of combat it. So maybe it's just less of changing the fundamentals of how we play, our game plan is, and maybe it's more about adding strings to the bow, possibly, which I would encourage. Like, I do think that the 2025 season was a bit all or nothing. It was like either we were the best football you could imagine seeing, and the opposition couldn't get near us, or it just felt like we were a step off and we couldn't get, and just like in the grand final. And the previous time when Brisbane had also beaten us was another of those times where it just felt like there wasn't really much we could do to compete. It was basically just running out the minutes. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's being a little less, I suppose, reliant on the Dash brothers, as they call them, and the dare overall. Like, I know that there was a bit of talk throughout the year that Geelong was pulling off statistically the hardest disposals of any team. That Geelong was so damaging because we were effectively pulling off really difficult kicks, really difficult disposals into really difficult areas. And so it was a manner in which teams weren't able to defend when it was working. But when it wasn't working, the margins were really, really bad. It was like we were trying these things that weren't, we weren't playing the highest percentages, I suppose. So that's an area that I know was talked about with our game plan, that maybe we're looking at that. Maybe we're trying to go back to the drawing board of just having a bit more basic footy to fall back on when it's sort of not working, just to hit people like fire and lightning. But yeah, I don't know. It could also just be preseason fluff, and Tom Atkins is just going, oh yeah, we're looking at how the game's played, looking at how we play, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me looking back at that game. And my guess, chaps, is that Geelong wouldn't be reacting to that grand final in isolation. That you said it well, Sambo. At times Geelong were like the best team in the comp, but when they played badly or were exposed, they looked like one of the worst sides. Like the gap between our best footy or our best performance and our worst performance was massive. And I think we talked about it a lot on the pod last year of like, it's not for a lack of trying. It's not for a lack of effort or endeavor. That, in fact, to us, it always seemed a little bit more plan-based or execution-based. That like there were just some chinks in the armor that had been sort of uncovered. And when teams were good enough to exploit them, we maybe didn't have an ability to guard against them. One of the things was being scored against really easily, chaps. Like on turnover, I thought that, we got hit and out of center bounces. There were some games where we got pillaged from clearance in terms of scoring of teams. Just once they, won that first clearance and goal, it was like they did it, 4 or 5 times in a row, straight out of the middle. So like those things stand out to me. I was just trying to, peel through the stats and have a look. Like the most turnover prone club in the league was Port Adelaide. Was the Adelaide Crows. The least turnover prone team in the competition was Geelong. On average, the Cats actually had the fewest turnovers of any club. In terms of stoppage clearances, we were fairly low down there. The only teams worse than us were Collingwood, Melbourne, Richmond, Essendon, West Coast. So not exactly great company. But then again, GWS were directly above us. Total clearances, I know everyone's like, oh, the clearances are an issue, and maybe that's true. But then again, we're sort of middle of the table. I don't think clearances, in terms of raw clearance numbers, really impacted us, to be completely honest. But I think it's going to be things like Geelong are going to be trying to look at ways that they cannot be ripped apart out of clearance so bad. I think it's the defensive side of clearances, so more so maybe than the winning of the clearance itself. It's how do we defend our goal outside of a clearance.
Yeah.
And also, chaps, like, we're just recklessly speculating, but another part of this is adaptation. Like, you don't want to be behind the change. You want to be in front of it. So this could also be simply Geelong looking at things going, Brisbane have sort of perfected the way they're playing footy. So we don't know. We're not sure that we're going to be able to beat them at what they do best. We might have to reinvent or look at what we do best. And while other teams might be going, how do we replicate Brisbane? The Cats might be looking at it and going, how do we make a game plan we think best suits our personnel? And that comes into it, chaps, from a quote from Nigel Lappin, which is about strengths. And he said, we are a strength-based program. We always talk to the boys about what are the things that got them drafted, and let's make sure that we continue to build on those. How do we get them to feel comfortable so that they can bring their strengths out? That sort of stuff aligns with some of what we're talking about, chaps. But yeah. I think there'd be some sense, and we saw it at times, for Geelong to have multiple changes of gear. I don't think you only want to go balls to the wall all the time. I think you want to be able to switch it up sometimes and possess the football and take the sting out of the game.
And also,
I don't know. Maybe we're barking up the wrong tree, but.
And also, I think the new players coming in, like new players as in Bailey Smith, who's about to embark on his second year at the Cats. So I still think there's great hope. Like, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing to change up, but it can only be a good thing that can play into Bailey Smith's strengths as well. Because he had a incredible first year, and towards the end, him and Max Holmes were just starting to really work well together. So another year of them two together is going to be incredible to watch. And we all saw how hard Bailey Smith worked in his defensive and attacking, and his tank of endurance to be able to run and just run all game. I think that's also going to could be even better this year after another year of training with the Cats and training with Max Holmes and now Hunter Holmes, who may not be the same as Max, but you still think he would have some speed and endurance about him. I think just looking at that Bailey Smith is about to embark on only his second year at the Cats is really exciting. Sean Manor, I feel like this was his fourth year at the Cats. So I think it's only good thing that they're changing it up. Third year for Sean Manor. So I think that's really exciting that they saw the grand final, saw what needs to be fixed, and are looking pretty proactive at fixing those things. Yeah, I agree with you, Jake. Those lulls in the game were the ones that really hurt us when it felt like we were on top, and then there was that 5-minute burst where the teams just got on top of us, and it felt like we couldn't stop them. Hopefully, that's what they work on the most this preseason and change it up a bit. Just going, how do we help this defensive unit out a bit more as a midfield group and forward line, as people have mentioned. I think that's a big factor, is the forward line sort of needs to be a bit more defensive minded when the opposition defenders have it, because it did feel like they were able to move it out from our defense line far too easily for too many games last year. It just felt like we couldn't lock it in our forward line. So hopefully that's something they're working on as well, to be able to find a way to keep it inside, put that pressure, that forward line pressure on the opposition, where our small forward Stengel and Henry and Brian Myers close can really get that pressure, that mosquito buzzing pressure, as they say, back around that forward line. Because I think that's another thing that we lacked a bit more last year, was that ability to pressure defenders.
crazy just observationally. I was going like, how many marks did we take inside 50 per game? We led the league for marks inside 50 per game. 15.7, which sort of stuns me a bit. And I was just trying to look at the stats table. Do we have inside 50s as well? Inside 50s. Let's have a look. Geelong. So we were there or thereabouts. What do we have? 15.7 inside 50s. Marks inside 50 per game. Our inside 50s were the third most in the league. So I think it's like, it's funny that we had so few turnovers. I wish we had, and I don't have access to it, but maybe someone does, like stats on turnovers from scores conceded from forward half turnovers. Because I feel like the few games we went to, Chaps, it was like, oh, here we are. We're set up for a goal. The ball's coming in. Oh, it's punched away, or the marks drop. And 45 seconds later, even if it wasn't 45 seconds later, but like from a really obvious scoring position, Geelong would go on to then concede a goal 30 seconds, 2 minutes later. And you could sort of trace it back to that thing. If you're looking for the smoking gun, you know, people would be like, oh, the back line's been shithouse. And it's like, follow the paper trail. The paper trail actually ends in the forward line with a missed tackle or a drop mark. And same from clearances. People got into the back line about, oh, the back line was shit. We got ripped open again. But it's like, no, the smoking gun was how badly the clearance situation was defended. Like, I think these are little hints about what Geelong will be looking to fix up. But yeah, do you have any further thoughts on this, Chaps? Have we milked it dry of thoughts on this particular topic?
Probably a little bit. I mean, maybe we'll know more once we see the community series games. But also maybe we won't, because maybe they won't play any of those cards.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. Paul, the legend. Yeah, Shadu says, I wonder what they will do with Danger. My personal opinion is you
stick him in the square.
They need to play him up forward. Yeah. Play him up forward, because I think it looks regressive to me if we're still relying on Dangerfield. Like, there are guys in there who are being paid to do that now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't ever use him, but
no, but it's like if you were to have, we don't like doing hot takes here, but last year in the finals, if you were to have a hot take, if we would have had a hot take, it's that the Dangerfield winning that game off his back was beneficial to that game, but detrimental to the team overall going forwards, because there was this sense of like, come on, Danger. come and dig us out of another hole. Like, and as I said, it's not a hot take that I'm gonna like die on the hill of, because I think it's very reductive. Like, it's a really like negative and kind of clickbaity way to look at it. But I think there's a line of logic within it, which is that, like, you're exactly what you're saying, Jake. There's people paid to do that role now, and if they're not doing it correctly, or they're not doing it well enough, then it's a matter of, you know, helping them to do it, making sure they get the practice and the preseason, the coaching and the guidance to do it. And it's like, I don't necessarily think Danger should necessarily be a break glass in case of emergency type of thing. Like, it will happen. Obviously, it's the nature of the beast that it will happen. But you would like to think that you don't need to do it. That even if the guys that are in there isn't the right mix for that game, surely we have some other people that we can that we can also roll in there to have a go. Like, it's a lot to ask of Danger. And, you know, in fairness to the Hawthorn game, if there's a time to do it, obviously it is in the finals when you don't have a season to think about ahead. So I'm not dismissing the choice to do it. And, you know, he was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, you did have this sense of, if he can't do that again, then who's going to dig us out of this hole when it came to the grand final? And the answer was, you know, in that instance, nobody. So yeah, I think you stick him in the goal square, you let him sort of cause havoc there, roam if he needs to roam, but yeah, I wouldn't really like to see us do that too much, putting him back in the middle.
Oh, I reckon what they should do is basically play maybe 5-10 games of the year and wrap in cotton wool. As you guys, I don't think we need to rely on Dangerfield as much as we need to. I think we've definitely got the players, if you two alluded, we've got the players in there to do that role. We've got the players in the forward line to do their role. I think just play him sparingly. Just play him every now and then. Keep him, fit and ready and raring to go. And then in the finals, then chuck him in wherever. Like chuck him in the forward line for a bit, chuck him in the midfield. But I think he's sort of getting to that point in his career where we can just play him less. He doesn't need to play every single game. He doesn't need to be the player that lifts the team to almighty heights. I think we've got players that can do that. I think we've got leaders that can lead just as well as Dangerfield. And I think it's, as you guys said, it's sort of that sort of time that the young guys need to start thinking of how can we influence a game without Dangerfield there.
Yeah. And Shadu just says, a captain that plays 5 to 10 games a year, question mark. But I mean, yeah, like you just throwing numbers around, Johnny. It doesn't have to be 5 to 10 games. It could be he plays 16 or something, but it's how often you put him in the blender of the midfield. You said something there, Johnny, like we don't need Daniel to lift us anymore. We've got other players who can do that. I would offer we don't want to need Dangerfield to do that anymore, and we want to have players that can.
No one else can do lift.
I would say right now we don't have players that can. I don't think there are players who can lift us right now, as in they haven't got the track record or have shown we will do it. I think this is the opportunity. This sort of plays into a thought that's been bubbling along for me this whole pod, which is some stuff, again, going back to some of these quotes from Andrew Mackey, and he used the word tinker. Mackey said, the appetite to work and tinker this time of year, you are always looking at things about how you can keep evolving both as an individual and as a team. We are in that exploration phase. I think, chaps, that as weird as it might seem to the outside world, I really think Geelong still look at themselves as a team that is rebuilding after the Joel Selwood era. I think a lot of people, Cats fans included, look at Geelong and go, look, 2024 and 2025, there's these, see, we're being exposed, as a team that used to be great, but we have these weaknesses. I think it's almost the opposite, that the exposure is actually happening in the areas where Geelong are so young. Nigel Lappin talked about this. Connor O'Sullivan, Lawson Humphreys. He said they are great players. They were great players in our AFL team last year. They look like they're ready to take the step. I think a lot of people would have assumed Lawson Humphreys and Connor O'Sullivan have already taken the step, but Geelong maybe behind closed doors goes, they haven't taken the step. We think they are yet to do that. So it's just maybe another fascinating exploration of how Geelong are misperceived by the outside community. Just because we made a grand final, everyone thinks they're an old, great team that are on the decline, and their decline is what was exposed. Where I happen to think we're becoming a younger team. Younger, we're not becoming, spring chickens, but we're becoming a younger team, a transitioning team that was exposed in that transition, moments that we're going to grow and develop from. It wasn't old age that was exposed. It was actually in some ways the opposite, that Geelong had, 10 players different to their 2022 flag?
9 players, I think, hadn't played in a grand final, which is wild.
Yeah.
Just speaking on that, there was a little clip, I think it was a short on the Cats YouTube, just talking about exactly what you were talking about, the age players, and it was Dangerfield talking to Chris Scott. And it's like, I'm not sure what they were talking about, but just the realization that, we're in a really good spot because that player is 22, that player is 23, that player's 25. He's 18, he's 19, he's 20, and all these players are playing in the AFL side. They've played in a grand final. So I think you're right. Like, yeah, we're sort of doing that rebuild, but doing it the Cats way, rebuilding while playing finals, rebuilding while making grand finals, and rebuilding the correct way. Yeah, we're not using a draft, but we're being smart in the draft and picking up players that will enhance. Yeah, it's risky and it won't pay off for every team, but the Cats just know how to pull it off, and they're doing it exceedingly well. And it's quite exciting when you do say like that there are these so many young players that you don't realize how young they are.
Well, I think most people would sort of commonly assume that your AFL peak is somewhere like around like 25 to, I don't know, maybe like 30 or 31 or something like that. So you look at our list, as you just said, Johnny, Connor O'Sullivan is 20, Ollie Dempsey, 22, Lawson Humphreys, 22. We're at Max Holmes, 23, Shannon Neal, 23, Ollie Henry, thinking of Coach Lucas, 23, Tanner Bruin, 24, Sam DeConing, 25, Bailey Smith, 25, Brian Myers is 27, James Warple is 27, Stengel's 27, Jack Henry, 27, Close and Guthrie, 27 and 27, Bose is 28, Manor is 28, O'Connor, 29, Atkins, 30. Like, there are now only on Geelong's list, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players 32 years or older. So the list is reshaping in front of our eyes. And I think that's an interesting way to try and think about it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is in terms of how we develop our opinions on this team. I said we'd talk about Mitch Edwards. I've got thoughts here just quickly. And just so you know, probably only go another 10, 15 minutes. Does that suit you, chaps?
Yep.
That work? 10, 15, something like that. So I've got some thoughts on Mitch Edwards. If anyone has questions they'd like us to answer or topics they'd like us to discuss in the last 10 to 15 minutes, please let us know. I can see a few dropping in already. Mitch Edwards, it's interesting. Tom Atkins mentioned him, said it's been good to see Mitch Edwards play in the ruck a bit to see what he can do. I've got no part in selection, but it's just been good to see him get him some reps. Had a lot of injuries to our ruck stocks the last couple of years. It was Nigel Lappin who I'm sure he had a quote. Yeah, Mitch Edwards has pretty much trained the whole preseason, which is exciting. There has been a lot of Mitch Edwards pump up through the preseason. I'm really interested to see this. I've watched Mitch Edwards play. I think he's only played 10 games for the club at VFL level. He's had a lot of injury interruption. I think he's very talented. He's very raw, though, what I've seen. And I've seen some people saying, excellent, we can keep Stanley on the sideline. You just plug Mitch Edwards in for 2026 as the ruck. That would stun me. That would absolutely stun me. Because if he's done that, he's made some exceptional growth in the space of one off season. I'm skeptical on that. I'm not saying he won't become a great AFL player, a great AFL ruckman. I'm not saying he won't play games this year as a starting ruck, but the guy's played 10 VFL games. I think it is 10 or 12 VFL games. I would be pumping the brakes on this. This seems like a bit of positive spin. This seems like a bit of preseason fluff to me. So that's not me dissing Mitch Edwards, but I think you're going to get a healthy dose of Reece Stanley in the ruck this year. I think you'll get some healthy dose of Mark Blixarves. I think if everything went well, you'd get some Toby Conway action at some point. But yeah, I'm very much prepared to eat my hat if Mitch Edwards comes from the clouds and tears it up. But
clip it.
I'll be stunned. Yeah, clip it if you want. No, I agree with Lincoln. Lincoln says Edwards surely won't be first ruck early. I totally agree. He has so much to learn. And I think it would be unfair to put that expectation on him. All right, chaps, there's some questions flying in here. Let's go with this is a fashion one from Ben. Will Mitch Edwards have a man bun in 2027? I want an answer from each of you. Yay or nay?
Who have the man bun mullet combo going?
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what that is, but he's going to do it and rock it.
We'll invent
I mean, as much of a cutting edge fashion connoisseur as I am, I'm going to go with no man bun in 2027.
The man bun might be out. Maybe they'll all have shaved heads or something.
Shaved
by
and a
2027.
handlebar mustache. I think.
And he'll be known as Mitch fucking Edwards.
That's right.
Flash says, can Jay Polkinghorn take an intercept mark? Maybe he can go down back for a bit. Maybe Hoffman makes a debut. Polkinghorn, I don't know if he could take an intercept mark, but he did win the VFL best and fairest, or the Cats best and fairest, the club award best and fairest in his first season playing inside the forward 50. So I wouldn't probably go away from that too quickly. I think he's got some things to work on. His one-on-one work, I think his ability to work through a double team at times as well. Teams were able to shut him down like that. I think he can get a bit craftier, a bit more cunning with his forward work. But I think there's a lot to like from Jay Polkinghorn in season 1. So, yeah, he probably can take an intercept mark, but I wouldn't be sending him down back yet. Are there any other questions in here? Sambo, I'm going to just hand pass this to you. Flash says SDK will be a ruck option. Gut feel. Are you a yay or a nay on the SDK ruck move? Do you want to see more or less?
Personally, I'm mostly over it. I really like what he brings to the back line. I just think he's somewhat singular at the moment. In the sort of like the Cats backline, his height combined with his strength as well. Like obviously you've got some tall lads down there and you've got some strong lads down there. I'm not sure if just purely basing it off last season. I don't know where everyone's development is at this year. I think his combination of those two is pretty unique in Geelong's backline. But that being said, I think we will see it. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think again that will be a break glass in case of emergency. I think, if Stanley's not in, I think you'll see Blixarves doing it, and you'll see again Neil pinch hitting up the front, and you'll see SDK rolling in and helping out as well. But my gut feel is he's going to be predominantly back at home in the back line.
Johnny Larkin, got a question for you. Will Ollie Henry find a new role? There's a second part to this question about, is there a chance for more games with Tyson out? Tyson Stengel's back at training. I don't know. To me, maybe I've misread. I don't feel like doesn't seem like Tyson Stengel's like missed the entirety of the off season. But so just let's focus on the Ollie Henry part of it. Does Ollie Henry find a new role, or does he just come back as an inform forward? Your thoughts?
My gut feel is he comes back as an inform forward. He had a really great first year at Cats, had an off year last year, couldn't really get into the side. I think he'll find that fire again. I think having Nathan Buckley there, who I'm pretty sure he was the one that coached him when he was younger. So I think Nathan Buckley will be able to help him find that fire, that passion, that drive to get better. Because I still think Ollie Henry in the forward line, when he's playing extremely well, can be a really dangerous forward. Like he nearly won us that prelim over Brisbane a couple of years ago. So I still think
how quickly we forget.
I still think he's got more upside than downside. He had a really bad year last year, which happens to the best of players. It just happens. Sometimes they have a really off year due to reasons. But I expect him to be able to get over that and come back better and stronger and be that forward line player that we're looking for alongside Shannon Neal and Jeremy Cameron and Tyson Stengel. Because I think Tyson Stengel should be there round 1, opening round. Like he's back at training, should be fine.
Yeah. I want to hide that one. O'Keefe, maybe Gary O'Keefe, Ocko O'Keefe, Gary 36307. I like reading people's full YouTube name, just for full transparency. Over 32, Danger, Stanley, Collar, Blitz, and Tom. Who have we got to replace them? Danger, you don't replace. You don't replace players like Danger. You just find, you hopefully uncover transcendent players who are their own person. You can't, we don't, it's not a plug and play. Danger's not a role player. He's a superstar. You can't replace him. You can only hope to find a player whose skill set you can build around. And maybe we've got players like that developing in the system. Max Holmes shows flashes, but they'll never be Dangerfield. Reece Stanley, I don't think it's a matter of replacing him. I think that, they are replacing him. They're attempting to. That's why we've got this bevy of young rucks who need to get healthy. But I really think if it comes down to it and they don't develop, they will bring in an experienced vet next year. They'll probably make another run at Rowan Marshall or someone similar. Blitzarves, you don't replace him. He's a freak. You can only either hope to recreate his role using multiple players, or again, you pivot what you do to match talented new players who come into your team. But I think it's hard to say you can just replace Blitzarves. Tom, I'm assuming, is Tom Stewart. Oh, Collar, I don't think... Last year, I thought we got to see Geelong's backline without Collar, and I thought it looked fine. I think that's why Connor O'Sullivan's in the team. I thought the backline actually looked decent from personnel perspective. Tom Stewart, from a leadership point of view, I don't know. We'll see. That's going to be a hard one to replace for me. It's the experience to me that's the hardest thing to replace.
It's yeah.
Sambo. Oh, sorry, Johnny.
I was going to say, hit the nail on the head. Like Danger, Blitz, and Tom, they're hard to replace. Like they're one of those players that you don't look to replace them. You just look to fill those gaps. Oops, Sam's gone.
Yeah. Sam's gone. That's all right. I was going to ask Sam this question. Instead, I'll throw it to you. John, is Jack Martin going to fit into the forward line or off the bench player who can go forward or back? Where would you most like to see him play? Johnny, up forward, up back, or off the bench?
It's a tough one because I think he looked better up forward than he did looking down back. But that's a good thing about the Cats. We like to chuck players all around the place, be versatile. I think we'll see him on the possibly, depending on what Ollie Henry does. I think it's going to be a good fight between Jack Martin and Ollie Henry. So I think if they start with Ollie Henry, and it doesn't really work out in the first few rounds, that he's not producing what we do, and then I think then we bring in Martin or vice versa, or we bring in Jack Martin early in the season and build Ollie Henry's trying to think of a word. It's escaped me. Just get Henry's belief in himself back up and about through maybe VFL and just through games here and there. But I think it would be a very to and fro game playing between Jack Martin and Ollie Henry. I think it would sort of be which player suits us best for this game at this certain point in time. And the good thing is Jack Martin is
I agree.
In his 30s, so he won't be able to play as much as Ollie Henry. No disrespect on Jack Martin, of course, but it's just the fact that he's a lot older than Oliver Henry.
Yeah, if you, where I currently grade Jack Martin as being is he's a depth player. Sometimes he'll be in the team, sometimes he'll be out of the team, sometimes he'll play up forward, sometimes he'll play up back, sometimes he'll float onto a wing or something. Like he's depth, and he's great depth to have, because we've said it before on this podcast. What would you prefer to have, Jack Martin or an untried youngster? At least you sort of have a developed skill set. You've got an experienced footy player, and you can go to him while someone else develops in the wing. Lincoln says, Jai Clark, lads, what's the pass mark this season? Is he best 23? Lincoln, I think he's working. That's his goal, is to try and force his way into becoming best 23. I think it's a great sign for him that he won so much more of the footy in the VFL. He uncovered some new strings to his bow, namely playing with speed off half back. I think his decision-making improved. The fact that he ended the season picked as part of that finals squad, I think that's massive for him. He's got to push on with that now. Whether he starts the season in the AFL team or not, I don't know. I think it'll depend a little bit on balance and who's in and who's out. If he's playing VFL, he's got to be absolutely ripping the shit out of it. He's got to have 25 plus touches again, winning plenty of the footy, using the footy well. And that's probably just as important as the sheer numbers for me, is when I watch him play VFL, is how are you using it? What's your decision making like? What's your execution of your skills like? I think pass mark, I don't know. I'm going to do all that with my VFL preview pod, because I do a passing grade for all of these players that are on the fringe. Like off the top of my head, I would say maybe double-digit AFL games, tearing it up in VFL when he's there, and maybe getting closer to his VFL level performances in terms of his numbers and output and execution when he gets his chance at AFL level. But it's not like he's got to play every game, but just he's got to be like there or thereabouts, sort of that next man up position for him, for me anyway, with Jai Clark.
I'll say
Johnny, there's
Jai
another
Clark.
question. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, in Jai Clark,
go for it.
I think the good thing for Jai Clark is it's on him. It's just on him. He's got to prove not only to himself, but the team and the fans, us, the fans, that he is in the best 23. I don't think the coaches need to convince him that he is. I don't think the coaches need to have him prove anything to anyone. He's just got to go out there and play his best week in, week out, and just do it himself. I think that's a good thing in Jai Clark. It's all in his boots. It's all on him now. Like, I think the coaches can do what they can do, but he's got to go out there now and do it himself in games and consistently, which hopefully he can. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does, because it's got to be off the back of his own hard work, because that midfield is not going to be easy to break into, and it's only getting harder to break into. So he's got to prove he is one of the best midfielders, and it's not going to be easy, but it's not meant to be easy in AFL. You've got to work really hard. So if he puts in the hard work, puts in those extra legs, extra Ks, running, extra weights, whatever, then he'll make it. But that's up to him. I think the club can only do so much, and he's got to do the rest.
Yeah, Clark too. Like, I think he just came in with a certain reputation, and I don't know that those opportunities are necessarily available ahead of him. The hard tackling inside midfield clearance winning player, I don't think his body has been ready for that at AFL level. And I also think there's already been guys ahead of him. Tom Atkins, if Tom Atkins didn't exist, maybe Jai Clark would have been thrown into the role earlier.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of playing for the Geelong Football Club, is you don't get thrown in ahead of time. You have to do your apprenticeship. This is a player too, Jai Clark. And in doing that apprenticeship, you discover different things about your game. If he had to go straight in, say you get drafted at a club down the bottom and there's no hard inside midfielder, and they're like, you know what, Clark, we took you in the first round. Here you go. You're straight in. It's your hard ball to win. Jai Clark might break down, get injured, not get time to play in the VFL, and not get to explore what he's got to explore at the Cats. They've played him on ball in the VFL. There's been times where they've played him now off half back, down back. They've given him opportunities to learn, and that opportunity only exists because there's great players ahead of him that he's trying to get past. So just for context, if anyone's not aware of what he did in the VFL, 10 games last year, averaged 27.7 touches. He averaged 3.4 marks. He averaged 5.6 tackles per game, and he averaged 4.2 clearances as well. So he had a career best year at VFL level, and you saw it translate in terms of becoming that next guy that the Cats went, we want you in our finals team. We want you as that next man up. Let's have a look. What else we got here? I thought there was one more question, but there may not be.
Yes, it was from Flash Movie Trivia 8736.
Oh, will Nathan Buckley generate significant improvement to our midfield group? Will we miss Stephen King? Just, I don't know, 30 seconds on this one, Johnny, because we've got to get out of here. But do you think Nathan Buckley will improve the midfield, or is it just more of a general improvement? Yes and yes. We'll miss him. We'll miss Stephen King.
Yeah, we'll miss Stephen King. But tell you what, replacing a cat legend with a Nathan Buckley didn't win a premiership, but a grand final coach. Like,
don't remind him.
Yeah, they don't remind him. I don't think we can go wrong. Like, Nathan Buckley was a pretty incredible midfielder when he was playing for Collingwood. He seemed like a really good coach while he was at the Pies, and he's one of those few people I really enjoy listening to on the radio. And when he does his SEN shows with Kane Corns, he always brings a very level-headed, concise, and quite insightful thoughts on the game. So, yeah, I think he can improve this midfield. I'll be very surprised if he can't improve this midfield. I think he's got the tools, he's got the players there, and he's got the absolute capabilities and the way to communicate what needs to be done extremely well.
Yeah, I love the Nathan Buckley hire. I just think he's a good fit personality-wise. I reckon, at a guess, I'd say the way he and Chris Scott think about football is similar, but I love that Nathan Buckley comes in from a non-Geelong background. He's able to bring perspectives in that haven't been in the building necessarily. He's able to bring a perspective of having watched the league as a media person, as an analyst. I really like it. I think that I'm a big fan of it, and I think when he does go, presumably to go and coach Tassie at some point, I think we'll look back and go, damn, God, it would have been nice to have him around a little bit longer as well.
Absolutely.
But that's the cost of doing business at a successful club. You bring people in, they do well, and they go out to try and forge their own path in other areas. So Lincoln says, thanks, lads. No, thank you.
Thanks, Link.
Thank you. And seriously, thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning in and watching the first Chaps show of 2026. Sambo's phone had a meltdown. So he ended up having to jump out of the stream a little bit early, but he says, thank you. We will be back next Monday night. This is essentially us every Monday night through the 2026 season. We will be here. So we'll see you next Monday evening, live this season. We haven't done it in previous years, but all of our shows, pending disaster or weather, will be done live this year and then available to watch on replay. We will do extended stuff for you over on Patreon. So go on over, sign up on the Patreon. It's like $5 or $6 a month. I think there's 2 options up there still. There's VFL coverage. If you want thoughts on VFL stuff, do that every week. There's extended shows. Please go on over. We'd love for you to support the show in that way. But we thank you just for supporting it by watching and your comments and clicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flash says, thanks for taking all those cues and first serious footy talk of the season. Jackie says, whoa, the Chaps are now streamers. I know. Maybe I'll get on the TikTok at some point.
Things are changing. But yeah, thanks, guys. Good to see you. All
6-7. Oh,
familiar faces back. All the familiar names back amongst on the stream. It's good. And can't wait. Can't wait for the new season to begin. Really looking forward to it as usual.
It's here, John. It's here. It's right around the corner. There will be games of football played in under 2 weeks. Boy, oh boy. Oh, I just realized we promised Morris an F1 update. Have you got 5 minutes, John? Have we got 5 minutes? We'll call it the Morris, the Morris F1 speed round. That's what we'll call this.
Round. All right.
There we go. We'll put a banner up here. This is just for you, Morris, one of our Patreon subscribers, because Morris, along with John, may be the only 2 people, maybe on the Hoops crew, who give a shit about the F1. But here's your platform, John. Morris said he needs a catch up. On what's been happening in the F1 off season. So here it is. 5 minutes, John. What do we need to know about the F1 season? Tell us.
In terms of driver lineup, as I mentioned in the Discord, actually hasn't been much driver changes at all. Basically, all the teams are remaining the same, except for Red Bull, which is Yuki Tsunoda drops out to a reserve role, with Isaac Hadjar comes in to be Max Verstappen's partner, which was a pretty poorly kept
Makes
secret
sense.
from about halfway through the season. And joining Liam Lawson at the Racing Bulls is Arvid Lindblad. He comes in, which was also no surprise if you watch F1. Hopefully not, but it sounds like it's going to be similar to last year. In terms of teams, there's two brand new teams coming in, with Cadillac to be the 11th team debuting this year alongside Audi, who takes over the role of Kick Sauber. So Kick Sauber is no longer a thing, and they will be making their own engines, Audi. So that's exciting for them. And in terms of cars, the cars are completely new. So they're shorter and they're thinner. The wheels are thinner. There is no more DRS. There is only active aero. So when the cars are going down a straight, they will automatically, front wing and the rear wing will shift so you get more airflow. And then there's buttons that the drivers can press. Either give them a boost for defensive, give them a boost for overtaking, and just an overall boost as well. And also, it's going to be a 50-50 split between fuel and electricity. So they're going to have more battery power, which will give them more horsepower overall and more speed. And also, they're in the pursuit to go net zero by 2030. It is all sustainable fuel from this year onwards. So it's like biomass fuel. So just like trying to get carbon out of the air from non-food biomass and all this other fuel type stuff that they're going to make it. And apparently they're making sure that no fossil fuel or crude oil is used during the manufacturing of this fuel. So yeah, they're taking big strides in that area as well. And in terms of tracks, I know there's one new track, the Mad Ring in Madrid. So Barcelona is out. Madrid is in for the Spanish Grand Prix. Yeah, it's a lot of changes. So who knows who's going to be the best team this year? It's really chucking everything up in the air and seeing what lands. But at the moment, the best team people are speculating is the teams with Mercedes power, mainly Mercedes themselves. So it's going to be interesting. And Red Bull are making their own power trains alongside Ford. So Ford's back in, Toyota's back in, partnering up in a sense with Haas. Like, it's not a full partnership. Haas is still using Ferrari engines, but it's pretty highly speculated that they will go to Toyota power in the future. So yeah, it's all really exciting. They just had a private, not so private test in Barcelona, and then the preseason testing is happening next week. That's pretty much a little snippet of what's happening in F1, but it's a lot. And I can't wait. First race is in March on the 8th. I will be there, trackside. I cannot wait.
I've got to say, Johnny, when we give you the space and the oxygen to talk F1 on this podcast, it does sort of feel like we're clipping your wings, making you talk about footy every week.
Not at all. I love talking F1.
Yeah. But if anyone, it was a brilliant rundown, Johnny Morris. Hopefully that scratches the F1 itch. Hopefully it succinctly captures everything that's going on. Yeah.
Drivers, sorry. Perez and Valtteri Bottas, the honorary Australian, are driving for Cadillac.
Love that. They're going to be my team this year. Win, lose, or crash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll be going for
it's exciting.
Cadillac just because of the
brand
drivers.
new team. It's really exciting for them.
If you want to hear Johnny talk about the F1 during the season, I think we're going to try and get him on my other podcast. I do another podcast, the Jake Botel Sports Experience, free advertising for myself. And Johnny last year was a regular guest during F1 times. So yeah, I don't talk about footy on that podcast. Talk a lot about cycling, talk a lot about, F1 with Johnny, sometimes MotoGP, who knows, ice hockey, the other shit that I watch. So yeah, if you want other sports from us, go over there. All right,
Absolutely.
that's it. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Ben
guys.
asks, what is a car? We'll leave that for next week. That's called a tease in the industry. So we'll inform Ben what a car is next week. But yeah, until then, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. We massively appreciate it. Until next time, go Cats.
Go Cats.